From San Antonio and New Jersey, it's the Sawdust Nation Podcast, episode 72. I'm Nick from NPG Creations. Here we have Josh from North Country Woodworking and Nap from Nap's Naughty Works LLC. As usual, we're the three usual suspects. Before we get into any shop talk today, let's talk about our sponsors. So Pwn CNC, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they have these new spindle kits that Daniel over there is working on. And if you haven't checked them out, go ahead and see them on his webpage, pwncnc.com. For 10% off any of your orders, you can use promo code Sawdust Nation. And let me tell you, Daniel has supported this podcast for a while now, and their equipment and their add-ons, everything that they make over at Pwn CNC is absolutely stunning, and it works for it's an aftermarket piece for any CNC machine that you have for the most part. Go over there and check him out. Check out his Instagram at Pwn CNC. They have some wonderful stuff. And next up, I want to thank Totalboat for their continued support. Totalboat has the epoxy hookup. So check them out at totalboat.com or at Totalboat on Instagram. And if you want that 10% off promo code, just go ahead and slide into our DMs at Sawdust Nation Podcast on the Big IG, and we'll give you the hookup. Let's go ahead and thank Jtechphotonics, the diode laser masters of the universe. Check them out at jtechphotonics.com. That's right. But that's enough from our sponsors. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in the shop, man. Like, this is the first episode we've had in like 2 or 3 weeks now where we haven't had a guest. So we can just kind of focus on us. We'll make it about us this week. So
yeah, it's back. We finally have it back. Like our home court, it's ours again, at least for this week.
Hey, you know what? You can say what you want, but we had some amazing guests on this last couple episodes, and I'm truly grateful for their presence on here because I got to hear their voices and not Nick's. I mean,
That's true. So I'll go ahead and stop talking now and let Nap tell you what's going on in his shop of wonders.
Yeah, it is a shop of wonders because I bought another tool.
No, you didn't.
Man, you already know.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I sat
I didn't
there.
make you buy this one, though.
You didn't. So this time Nick didn't make me buy it, and this was on my own thoughts, not his. Not like, hey, Nap, I want you to buy this so I can buy your old one. It's none of that this time. This time I actually got to buy my own tool, brand new. Not that I wanted to buy it brand new. I did surf Marketplace. However, I didn't want a 1980s style bandsaw. And yes, there it is, a bandsaw. I ended up getting the Jet 14-inch bandsaw from Woodcraft. And I will tell you what, never in my life would I have thought setting up a tool would take me nearly the entire day. I 100%, 5 stars, do not recommend setting up your own bandsaw. If you can find it used and it's fairly new, buy it.
Dude, it's a two-man job. That thing's heavy.
It is. So it is a two-man job. However, I did watch some videos, and I believe, what was the gentleman's name? Is Snodgrass?
Yeah,
was
Mr. Eric Snodgrass, I believe.
Mr. Eric Snodgrass. So I started watching it. I may even try to reach out to him myself. I do still have some questions because there were some things about a bandsaw and how it's supposed to be like the gullet's halfway on the wheel. Well, the thing is, this Jet bandsaw, it has a max capacity of a 3/4 inch blade, which is what's on there. However, half inch or with the gullet being halfway on that there wheel, it kind of starts getting a little off the front of the wheel, so it kind of scares me a little bit. So I may or may not have to ask a specific question to him on that particular not problem, but area I'm looking at. But I did get to finally resaw something. That is the main reason why I got it, because I did not have resaw capacity, and I did not want to go to Nick's house for like the umpteenth time to try to resaw something. I wanted to be able to do it on my own. So I did. And of course, I didn't go for anything easy. I went for the big shebang. I went straight to Wenge because that's what I was resawing. It was a 5-foot piece. I think it was just over 8/4. And I was like, well, go big or go home, I guess. And it was sketchy at best because Wenge is extremely dense. And dust was flying everywhere. I do recommend using a dust extractor with said bandsaw.
You didn't have yours hooked up?
Okay, so listen, I didn't expect the amount of dust to kick up, but as soon as I got started, I was committed. So this was me. I I need air. As I'm pushing it through the bandsaw, just dust flying everywhere. But I got through it. And now I have
the move.
It was a rookie move because, it's my first bandsaw. So, of course, dumb rook. But that's the new tool in the shop. I think I'm done buying. I am legit done buying tools for well. I was telling Josh that I have no room to move.
This guy, every time, he's like, I'm done buying tools for a while.
Yeah,
I
know.
Next week, he gets another large piece of equipment. He's like,
stay tuned for tomorrow when he buys a new tool.
No, but in all honesty, though, so this took up the last chunk of real estate in my garage where I could actually feel comfortable moving around. I have to stop. I have a problem. I have an addiction. Hi, I am Nap, and I have a tool buying addiction. That's how it feels every time we come onto this podcast.
Welcome to Toolaholics Anonymous.
Yeah, right.
Hey, good one for another podcast.
That's right.
That is a good one. Right. Actually, yeah, we will definitely use that. I think we might have to theme that for another one. But that's enough about
T-shirts.
The tools.
We need T-shirts that say Toolaholics.
Sponsored by Sawdust Nation Podcast.
TA, Toolaholics Anonymous. I got my 30-day chip. I haven't bought a tool in 30 days.
Anyway. But then getting into what's going on in the shop. So, I have this thing about customers, right? When they get me their things and they get them to me late. And I say, hey, it's going to be a minute now. I literally said, hey, it's going to take me some time to get this done. I've already got stuff in the books that's meant for certain days and weeks. I'm working on your stuff now in my downtime. I don't like it when customers contact me multiple times saying, hey, when are you going to be done? After you took X amount of months to get me the stuff. And yeah, it was 2 months before I finally got the stuff.
You got the stuff?
How you coins and things, yeah.
Show me the money. You got the stuff? Count it. It's all there.
I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I'm just like, you know what? Listen, I told him I've got stuff going on, which gets into my next part of my shop. But I did tell him, hey, listen, I'm getting your stuff as I have downtime, but I am preparing for my first, I will call it craft fair / military appreciation booth thing. I'm not going to steal too much of that thunder because that is Nick's thing. He just was gracious enough to invite me to it. But for it, I am making a bunch of things as well as he is, but I'm making and more experimenting than anything. So anyone can make a coaster, right? And coasters are quick sellers. They're good offcuts because that's what we have. We have offcuts for days. And we needed something to do with them. So we talked about coasters, cutting boards, things like that, some logos and other things. But I'm using it also as an opportunity to take said offcuts and experiment with patterns with different species of woods. I'm making flags, one of which is out of Wenge and now maple. No longer is it white oak. Nick talked me out of it because, he was like, you're using filet mignon and then you got ground beef. I was like, okay, you got a point. So I've already ripped and stripped the maple stripes there. I got 3 flags literally sitting ready to be assembled. The other 2, one's bloodwood and maple with a walnut union. And then the other one is the typical walnut and maple with a cherry union. So those 3 are ready to be assembled. I carved 1 flag last night on cherry spray, I sprayed it black, whatever, carved it. And I'm going to do a couple green stripe flags for military appreciation or military. And I tried something out with some fine detail writing. I was doing a flag with the preamble on it, we the people. And it carved we the people just fine because it's bigger writing. But the small cursive didn't come out so hot in the first couple words. So I was like, well, I might as well just use this time to experiment with that. 30 degree or 15 degree V-bit, very pointy. It works very well. However, it takes forever. So I'll save that for another time. I don't have time to wait. What's up?
I just have a little to add to that. So you ever think about doing the outline of the paper? Because I've seen the outline or what you were doing. So basically carve the flag, carve the paper features, leave the wording off, and then go back and actually use your laser engraver to carve the wording. That way you're not messing around with the 15 and 30 degree. That's going to take you longer. I've been doing that because for whatever reason, when I first got my CNC, I felt like when I had these carve projects, I had to do it all on the CNC for whatever reason. And I ran into a couple of projects where, I could carve these little logos or these words, but it would take me 30, 40 minutes versus actually a laser. And going through it, I actually ended up using my laser on a couple of these projects. And I learned that, you can use both mediums to get to what you want. it's a suggestion. It's something that you probably have tried, but in that particular picture, in that particular case, that's the best way. I think you're going to get that wording and those details without spending, however long you're going to spend to get that carved.
Or better yet, check this out. I've got another suggestion, and Nap, you've already done this before. So myself and Nap have this thing we do when we make carved flags. We don't always carve things into the flag like a logo or whatever. We'll resaw a piece of cherry wood or whatever the flag's base color is, and then we'll laser etch that and cut that piece out and adhere it to the flag. This way it matches the ensemble and the color. But we can use different mediums with that too. We can even fill it with epoxy so it looks like it's part of the flag. So, but I'll let Nap keep talking. Sorry, we cut you off there, buddy.
No, you're good. No, so all good suggestions, Nick. And I was gonna do that. However, because I'd already carved that particular thing in there, I kind of already screwed myself over. Had I done the laser portion, maybe done like a laser outline on it, and then made the script, if you will, I would have done that.
Go ahead and carve a pocket in there of the size. Do a laser engraving of whatever you want to do. Throw it in there. No one will ever know.
Inlay that son of a gun.
I could have. It's already been done. It's already been hacked and planed and already been turned into coasters. So, yeah. Believe me, there was a lot of stuff that went through my mind that I could have done. However, right now, and I know the old saying is time is money. It kind of is. I don't have time to be messing around with trying to get a perfect inlay right now. So I can do circles and those things, but certain inlays you actually have to test and check and see what the settings are going to be. I don't have time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
But I will do the badge part though. I might carve a regular flag, do like the green line, but then still put the preamble on there. That's still an option. That's probably a Thursday thing because we have all Thursday off.
So check it out, man. On the flags that I carve and I stick stuff on, if I'm starting from scratch, I will not inlay it. I will just make the I'll offset the badge that I'm cutting out. This way it remains black like a circle in the stripes, and then when you set that badge in there, it has a nice outline around it.
Oh, I like that.
So
I like that.
If you check out my Instagram, which is at NPG Creations, you can see some flags.
Wait! You Nick from NPG? I didn't know. Man, I did not know. Wait, write that down one more time.
At Nick's
well, hey, some of us here don't follow others here. I just got a friend request from Josh the other day.
We'll get into that later.
Wait, hold on. You weren't following Nick?
Okay. So I was following Nick. I had no idea how it unfollowed Nick, but he sent me a message and I was typing to him and I clicked on his profile because, once in a while I'll miss a post and forget to like it. And it says follow back. And I'm like, it must have been one of those nights where you're messing around with Instagram and you accidentally hit something. I don't know. I felt bad. I even told my wife. It's
all good, man. It's cool.
I'm like,
it happens to the best.
I had followed him a long time ago. He didn't notice, and he noticed finally. No.
He's trying to up his followers and lower his following. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you what. On the note of followers, I don't know how people do it, man. Like, the people get thousands of followers, and I'm just sitting here with my under 300 still man, I'm lame. I got to make more stuff.
It's a very exhausting thing to do, man. Exactly. There's people that are straight out there just for content creators, and all they do is make videos and content for their Instagram. And then there's people who run a business like you, Josh, me. Heck, who does an excellent job of it is Mike from Veteran Woodco. He kills it, but I don't know how he has enough hours in the day to do it.
Honestly, because for a while there, I was doing it every day, trying to make content, and it's extremely hard. You have to make it a point to at least do a recording. You have to make a point to do lives. You have to make a point to take pictures constantly, and you're right. It's exhausting. It's very hard to keep that pace. Hence one of the reasons why I slowed down a little bit. So, but enough of that nonsense. We can talk about that later. Nap, we want to know what's going on in your shop, man.
I'm still working on it. God, honestly, I'm fine. I'm fine with you guys interjecting. This is like the most like two-way conversation we've had on a podcast in a while.
All right, Josh, what's going on in your shop?
Yeah, man. You know, I had a great day.
This happened last time, and I'm gonna tell you what. Never mind. That's an offline conversation. But so yeah, we're preparing for the fair. I'm experimenting with a bunch of stuff. I got 2 like serving tray, not so much charcuterie boards, but more or less like they're kind of like square plates, essentially. It might as well be charcuterie boards, but they're serving dishes, essentially. One's a walnut, bloodwood, maple. One's cherry, bloodwood, and maple. And bloodwood. More bloodwood. Yes, and more bloodwood. I'm not wasting my Wenge. I've definitely turned every bit of those into coasters and accents and anything I possibly could, because that is not cheap wood. I'm starting to run out of the expensive stuff, and now I'm starting to get into the cheaper stuff, which is awesome, because now I can actually do other things other than gluing things up, because you know how glue-ups are. But yep, still working that hat case. That's the thing I was talking about with the customer. The hat press is also the same situation. I'm actually going to epoxy and felt that tonight so I can get the hardware on it tomorrow and be done with it. Because it's pretty much done. I'm out there resawing, stripping stuff out, getting things ready. But with Saturday being the first fair, I don't really know what to expect. So I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, especially because, and I had a conversation with you and with Nick just about making possibly the same thing. In a sense, right? Because it's a Veterans Day, or it's a military appreciation theme. So a lot of the stuff you would think is going to be similar. But I'm trying to make design differences just so there's more to choose from as far as what we both bring to the table. And then finally, the thing I was talking about, I think it was last podcast, on testing out making these badges, this big job that Nick's has me on board with making the badges. So I was able to cut both halves. I'm a CNC. The other one had a really twisted board, so it may or may not have got thrown across the garage after I wouldn't go through the drum sander. And currently right now I have this 5-hour laser job finishing the top of it. But I'm going to bring the mic this way so I can grab this thing.
He's using a strong hand.
So this is the bottom half of this badge. And as you can see, dominoes. That was courtesy of Nick. I don't have a domino joiner.
So I was about to say, new tool.
No. That's going to be like a next year purchase, because I don't need a domino like that. Like I just don't. So I don't have a real need to use it every day.
See, that's the problem is you don't realize you need it until you use it. After you use it for that particular piece, you're going to be like, you know what would be great right now?
You know,
well, I'll be asking for that for Christmas, because I'm not trying to buy that myself. I'm just saying. Listen, my brother's in the Navy. He's an officer. He doesn't know what to do with his money. Andrew, if you happen to listen to this, buy me a Festool domino, the good kind. All right, buy 2 of them, okay?
Get the XLs.
Yeah, just in case I break one, I have an extra. So there's that. And right now, in fact, so I don't have a camera on the laser, but I have an external I was able to plug into it. And for our viewers...
That's the wrong camera, man.
No, you're not. No.
You had to think about it.
Look at her go.
Wow. You can do that? That's humanly possible.
So right now, the 100 watt is going to town on the top portion of this badge. It is on its second pass, and that'll be a 16th inch deep. Using that TB, that Totalboat epoxy, if you fill it in, that's going to be a fun pour. I'm excited for it, but still not so excited, because as we spoke about before the podcast, there's 3 different types of hardener, and I'm going to have to use some slow.
Can you walk me through exactly how you're going to go about? So you're going to pour it, I'm guessing, multiple different colors, or is it going to be one color?
I think it's just all black.
All black? Okay. How are you planning on sealing the entire thing?
So believe it or not, I've done multiple different techniques for sealing. I've used polyacrylic. I've used, varnish. Not varnish, because that's actually what I use now. A specific varnish. We'll name drop in a minute here. But no, I used some other stuff from Minwax. Just something clear. That's all I use, something clear. And eventually I found that Halcyon was my best bet, because it dries in 25 to 30 minutes. And I literally can pour. I wait 45 to be safe. Okay. But I'm able to pour, do the thing. I can sand it after I'm done pouring. And guess what? With Halcyon, which is awesome on top of epoxy, believe it or not, it brings the gloss right back, and it's as shiny as can be. So,
are you going to do a clear coat on the spots to make sure you don't get any bleed through?
like, how? What do you mean?
So sometimes when you do color epoxy and you certain types of wood, even it could be maple, it could be oak. I'm not sure what you said you made those out. I'm thinking oak.
Cherry.
Those are cherry.
Cherry, even cherry a little bit. If you don't do a clear coat of epoxy, there's a chances that it will actually bleed into the grain. And once it bleeds into the grain, it's hard, if impossible, to fix. So what you do, or some people do, what I do, is you seal the piece first with a clear coat of epoxy around where you're going to pour. And there's multiple ways to do this. You can use epoxy to do it, but I have been experimenting myself with using polyurethane spray can, rattle can, over the entire piece. It seals everything. That way, when I do the epoxy, it doesn't bleed through. And then when I'm done and I'm sanding the piece anyway, that top layer gets sanded off and I can use the varnish or whatever else I need. And that way I'm not using more epoxy, which is more expensive. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a lot of work with that 1/16th of an inch as well. I just a consideration. Yeah.
So
That's used to
that. So I have actually taken that, what you're saying, into consideration prior. So a guy named John McGirt, he's a very good epoxy artist, if you will. He's done a lot of epoxy. He does it in his garage where there's dust everywhere. He actually told me a process you can do to keep the dust away and epoxy in your garage and have no issues. However, I still do it in my office because, well, I feel safer here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm honestly, the Halcyon varnish, I tell you what, man, I do 2 good coats of Halcyon. It hardens. I wait, it's like an hour, like 45 between each. You only need 30, honestly, before sanding. But I do that. And then when I pour, because I laid it on so thick, I'm able to wipe away the epoxy that over dribbles. Like,
okay, so you're using the Halcyon first, then pouring. Okay. See, that's the part I was missing in that process.
So yeah, I'll do that. And then I ain't gonna lie, Totalboat, they make awesome epoxy. I've noticed that if I mix it properly, as we discussed a few episodes ago, I don't have an exothermic reaction and it doesn't bubble that much. And if it does, I just pinhole it and put some clear epoxy or some CA and call it a day. But yeah, so that's what's going on with that. And yeah, guys, I mean, just so much stuff in the shop as far as craft fair stuff. I've never done it. So I'm just making anything and everything I've seen. Oh, actually, I lied. I ordered these. I have pieces and chunks of wood. I'm going to turn them into bottle openers.
Nice. Yeah, that's always a good one. You do like the circular ones or the typical square or rectangle?
So we got the circles.
Yeah.
All right. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make like the circular portion where the bottle head goes, but then on the other portion, they'll have like one of the emblems from whatever branch it is with veteran down the spine or something. If I got time to do all that, that might be for the next fair, which is next week, I think. So those might be on hold. I might just finish what I got and see what happens. And then I've also got the wall mountable bottle opener things.
I use those all the time for my cornhole boards and stuff like that.
Yeah, I still don't know how I'm going to make this work. I know you can either do a plank, put a design, but how do you hang it? You know, those things. Do I just put a keyhole hanger?
I mean, you can do keyhole. Some people put extra magnets in the back, so you can put them right on the fridge. There's, 1,000 ways to skin that cat, man.
But yeah, boys, that's what I got going on in the shop. Just busy, boys. I mean, I'm grateful for it, and I am very appreciative. Like, Nick, thank you again for letting me tag along. I will tell you what, Nick might be a questionable character at times. Just kidding. But I'll tell you what, if you want to talk about, community over competition, this dude doesn't need to bring me on any road trips at all to try to be successful. He's been helping me out pretty much since he got here. He didn't even know me. First day he shows up, he goes, "Hey, if you want a plaque or anything like that, come give me a call," and gives me his card. I was like, "You mother."
Who is this guy rolling up in my business?
Yeah, so that was my first interaction with him. So and now look at it a few months later, here we are. We're collabing on projects. We're going on fairs and doing like craft tables and stuff together. It's a pretty mutual relationship. We wish we could have Josh here though. Josh
I just got one question. Can I be best man or is that already taken?
No,
flower
actually,
girl.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, man, I do appreciate you bringing me out to these things because it's only making me better. So
That is a good point, man. Nick has done a lot for a lot of people, but is a good segue, I think, to thank someone else that has recently done a lot for us. And that's Victor from Wimm Designs. Taking a moment during this podcast to clearly thank him for all he's done. He's been asking questions, which we love, but he's done a lot for us. He's helped Nick out when he needed help. He's helped me out for my CNC. And I know he's helped Nap out as well. And most recently, he did the extra mile and went to the Community Makers Project. And he bought us all polos. So I don't know where mine disappeared to, but sitting over here. And I opened that today. And it's just, thank you, man.
Yeah,
thank you,
Victor. There's not enough thank yous in the world for the things you've done for us. So
Nick, bro, after this very heartfelt, and honestly, I ain't gonna lie, if you don't feel some sort of way when you hear this part, folks that are listening, you might not have a soul. But Nick, brother, what do you got going on in your shop, man?
I'm just tearing up over here, brother. Anyway, so a lot's been going on. I've been hitting the shop really hard. I've been knocking out orders. Having a lot of difficulty on simple things, though. Every now and then, if you can see Josh's camera, if you're a Patreon, you can see the Makers Community polos. But it's just simple things that I've been messing up here and there that shouldn't be happening. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm just like approaching a burnout. I have no idea. This past week, out of the blue, I get a message on Instagram. I get a lot of messages on Instagram from spam. They're like, "Do you want to increase your followers?" Like,
those are my favorite.
It's like some random dude in like Pakistan sending me these messages like, "Pay me like $70 and I'll get you 1,000 followers." Like, no, bro, go away. So I get this message and I ignored it because I didn't recognize it. It was, until I actually sat down and opened my Instagram again, and I was like, oh wow, that's actually that's a place here in San Antonio. So Green Harley Davidson in New Braunfels, they reached out to me. Oh man, a few days ago. It was on Thursday of last week, and they wanted to know. They said, they came across my page and they said that the stuff that I make or the type of things that I make would be right up the alley of some of their patrons and their customers. And they're going to have a military appreciation event this Saturday in New Braunfels at the Green Harley Davidson. They invited me out from 10 to 3 to set up a table. I don't have to pay them a thing. I made it very clear, though, that I don't make Harley Davidson stuff. So, because that's the last thing I need. But, so I invited Nap out. And then they have another event next week on Thursday evening. It's the men's night out. So we're going to show up for both of those events, set up tables. We're going to rep the Makers Community project and try and sell some of our items. So I kind of turned on the jets and started just coasters. I would never actually rip down and cross-cut a plank that I could use for something large. Or larger, you know what I mean? I'm not going to make coasters. I'm not that kind of person to just make coasters out of the blue. So I had a buttload of offcuts. So I have probably about 20 sets of coasters. I made 4 coasters each. I've been laser etching them with random military, set in sets, right? So got Army units and badges and all that other stuff, right? So hopefully those are a hit. Use the Odies oil on those with a cork bottom that you can order like 100 of them for $16 on Amazon, which is a great deal if you're into making coasters. And that bottom just sticks right on, no problem whatsoever. I haven't had anything trying to peel off yet. Other than that, I have a couple flags in the works for that project. I do have actual orders I have been working on as well. But that, I'm definitely on time with those, so I'm not like sacrificing any deadlines for those. I had a person I used to work with reach out and needed a shadow box, and fortunately, the last time I made just a generic shadow box, which was like a rectangle, I made two, and I made two knowing that I might be busy later and not have time to make another one, and somebody might just want like a regular rectangular shadow box with a flag in it. So that person purchased this. They're sending me all their stuff. I'm providing the service of putting it together and, all the ribbons and medals and all that stuff in there and sending it back. That's going to be, I'm excited to I actually like putting things together just because I get it to look the way I want it. And then I'll send them a picture. I'm just weird about that. I send them a picture, and if they tell me it's good, which usually is the case, I'll ship it off. But every now and then I get a suggestion. But here's a fun fact, right? If you're going to glue anything down inside that shadow box that you're putting together for somebody, make sure you get the okay before you put the glue down. So I'll never make that mistake ever again. And of course, I'm not going to do it this time either. But I've been doing a lot of epoxy work on some random military art as well. And been making a couple of my famous tab plaques. I've actually got my Etsy. I turned that back on. So in the past 2 days, I've received 2 large orders, decently large orders in Etsy. I mean, I kind of missed out on that for a while because I turned my Etsy off because I was like, man, I can't keep up. But other than that, me and Nap are still working on those badges for that unit up in New Jersey. And the podium is on hold until those badges are done and shipped off, just because I don't have room in my shop to do large items all at once. If that makes any sense. If I had storage, if I had a room in my house where I could throw things just to get them out of the way, I would definitely do that. But I have kids and I got dogs, and there's no way that my dogs aren't going to get hair all over it just from how they rough and tumble around the house, and my kids aren't going to spill something on it or splash it with something. And I'll tell you a story of this is why I don't store anything in the house. Back when I was in New Jersey, I had a cutting board that I made for my mom, and my son liked to wash the dishes, and I had the cutting board sitting up on the ledge of the counter, like drying. It had the oil on it and everything. And my son sprays the dishwashing sprayer across the room and drenches the board, and it's all spattered. There was no fixing it. I had to like refinish the darn thing. So no, I'm not going to let that happen. Anyway, I got my Makers Community items in. I purchased a flag and a hat, and definitely repping them. If you can watch, if you're seeing this as a patron, you can see me and Neb are rocking the hats tonight. Josh is slacking, so I'm actually rocking a t-shirt as well again. So anyway, I think we're more Makers Community-er than Josh right now. Josh, oh wait, no, you got the Makers Community banana hammock on, don't you, Josh?
Yeah, you want to see? What? Special order.
Anyhow, I'm sure there's more going on in my shop, but I can't think of anything else at the moment. But my laser's been going nonstop for the past few days. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
You may want to get a bulb on order just in case, man. Because
a bulb or a
tube.
A tube.
Honestly, I've been really contemplating like just having one on standby because I have a feeling when I'm going to need it most, that some bee is going to go out and I'm going to be.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing. I thought about doing that, and I looked on the boards on the interwebs, and there was people talking about like, hey, having one as a backup, but they do expire. They do go bad. So
really?
So if you buy it and your tube lasts for a lot longer, the life on the new tube is not going to last as long. So you're kind of just, I guess, wasting money in a sense. I'd rather buy it, overnight it to my house, and pay the extra shipping than deal with paying full price for a new tube and then it not being what it's supposed to be when I need it the most. You know what I mean? But that's just me. Hey, if you have like if you got the disposable income to just start buying tubes, I'll send you my address. And then,
No, hey, listen, honestly, I'm glad you said. I actually didn't know that. So you know a little more about your CO2 than I even know about my own.
Yeah, so I'm on a forum on Facebook. It's the Omtech Laser Forum, and there's a whole bunch of like questions just asked every day. And I usually scroll through there to see if I can find anything that I don't know about my laser, or anything that would, like, a new technique or whatever. Oh, that's what I want to talk about. Another new technique that I kind of uncovered, but for myself. But that's another note. But I'm on an Omtech Lasers forum, and there's a lot of good information on there. Even if you don't own an Omtech laser, there's so much good information on there. If you have a Ruida controller, that definitely it would be behoove you to check it out.
I did see something, Nick, speaking of forums and lasers. So when I used to have my diode with Jtech, there was this setting called white space rapid movements where it would, like, shoot across, get past the white space and go. CO2s do not have that.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing, though. You kind of cancel out that feature, like, time-wise, because your laser's so much faster anyway. So
right. But I don't really see...
If you have a diode and you don't know about that, hit one of us up, because it will save you loads of time.
And we all love saving loads of time. So
where I was going...
Time is money.
Yeah, where I was going with that was, because the CO2 is faster, yes, awesome, right? Like right now I'm running that badge at 175 millimeters, which isn't very fast in inches, but it's still going pretty quick for certain spots at a really high percentage. But the problem is when you're traveling across the entire piece, that's a lot of time.
That is a lot of time.
Right.
But at the same time, think about it. If you were doing that on your X-Carve with your JTech 7, not knocking the JTech 7, but you're going to have to make more passes with a diode laser than you would a CO2 laser to get the depth that you're looking for. So you're kind of canceling each other out. I mean,
but if you know.
That's just me, though. I'm not trying to like.
I'm curious where you're going to go with this, Nick. I think I might have an idea, but let's hear it.
So in my exploits, I think you mean NAP.
Or NAP. Yeah, NAP. You guys look alike. You guys both have mustaches now. You have the same hat on.
His mustache isn't really there anymore. Mine's better, okay?
Oh.
So if you're a Lightburn user and you go to I believe the advanced settings, there is a spot where it says flood fill. And the flood fill gets rid of the white space, period. It only fills the spots that are open with the black or whatever spot you're etching. So I went from a 3.5-4 hour burn to a 2-hour burn just because I use flood fill. Now, don't use this if it's small and intricate. Only use it if it's a large image. Because if you're doing small stuff, the white space doesn't matter. Because as Nick said, the CO2 compensates with its speed and accuracy over a diode. But on a large project, even a CO2 can move fairly slow with a lot of white space. So if you use that flood fill option, it's going to fill in whatever order it does. I don't understand the order and why it does what it does. But it did a very good job, as you saw in the first half of that badge. That's the flood fill option.
Neato, gang.
I'm curious on how that would work on a diode. If
Give
it would,
a shot.
Roughly the same, I would assume.
Because I've had projects where, like, fairly nothing in the middle, but on the edges of something, you had a lot. And there's different settings you can mess around with, like doing degrees and how it goes. But I mess with the white space. I definitely use that. But the flood fill has always been something I just consider for like a CO2. I never considered really using it for the diode, but I might have to give it a shot and see how it works.
So now, just so our listeners know, we're using the software Lightburn.
Yes.
And this is what we're talking about. I don't know about any other laser software. Josh, you have one for your Glowforge, right? That's specific to the Glowforge.
Glowforge, actually, you have to go into the Glowforge website and they have their dashboard, and that's how you utilize their software, which is more of a internet page. I actually use Lightburn to finalize most of my projects and then upload it to Glowforge and finish it there. Honestly, if you've never used Lightburn and you're using any type of laser, I would suggest you check it out, and we'll include this in our show notes So you can go ahead and go click on the page. I believe it's anywhere between $30 or $40, depending on which license you buy. I think there's one more expensive one, I think, for commercial use. And it's either a one-time fee, okay, without any updates after 2 years. And then after 2 years, you could pay a price again, and you'll receive 2 more years of updates. Now, a note on that, the first 2 years I used it, I didn't really update it that much. And then when it prompted me for, I think it was $30 more, I paid it and I did an update, and I missed out on so many features during that time frame. They produced literally things I was sitting there and be like, why don't they have a setting for? I update it, and all of a sudden the settings are there. So it's probably the most widespread software used for lasers that I know, and liked by almost every maker that uses it. It's easy to use, and you can design in it. So
you can. It's real easy. One more thing for my shop, and then I'll kick it over to you, Josh. But this week I was pouring some epoxy, and I definitely jacked up a pour. But I had some bleed from one color epoxy into another color, and I couldn't get it out. I couldn't. I tried gouging it out afterwards and repouring with some what do you call it? Fast hardener from the Totalboat, and it just didn't look right. So I was grasping at straws, I guess, trying to think outside the box. And so what I did was I ended up using some acrylic, some clear acrylic, which is plexiglass essentially. And I threw it on the laser. I cut out the shape that I needed, which was a circle, like a ring. And once I did that, I removed the plastic from one side, that the plastic it comes with, and I spray painted the side I removed the plastic from, waited for it to dry, and then flipped it over and glued the painted side down. So I let the glue dry and ripped the plastic off the other side, and it turned into like one of the super shiniest finishes on that ring that I've ever seen. And I know Mike LeGregne from Veteran Wood Co. does this stuff all the time. So I got a hold of him last Saturday or Sunday, and I was talking to him about it. And he was explaining to me that if you get the plexi from the Home Depot or the plexi from like a big box store, it's garbage plexi. It's garbage acrylic. You want to order cast acrylic in order to do that, because when the laser cuts through it, it's not going to fracture the acrylic on the edges. It's going to actually create a nice even cut. And if you take some rubbing alcohol and rub it over the edges, it gives it a nice shine on the edge, I guess you could say. So what Nick do? Nick went out, ordered some cast acrylic this week. I'm waiting on it to arrive. It should be here this weekend. And I have a few more things to cut out and get ready to rock and roll. But super excited to venture down that path. It's just a new medium for me to explore. So I encourage everybody else, if they want to give it a shot, and you have a CO2 laser. I don't know if it works with a diode laser, but I know a CO2 laser will cut through it. Give it a shot, man. The diode laser won't cut through it.
No, so the problem with diodes is they can't move fast enough and produce enough heat that to give a clean cut. What ends up happening is as it passes around, it's just essentially melting it. And with no air assist, the beam, it won't get hot enough to cut layer by layer to get through the plexi. Believe me, I tried. I did like 50 passes on a piece of acrylic one time with the Jtech. I'm not knocking Jtech. Awesome laser. I was just testing something. Mm-hmm. I had no luck. Maybe I was doing something wrong.
So here's another technique that oh, hold on a second.
That's the technique.
Sounds like me when my alarm goes off.
Yeah, you're like, no, I don't want to. Oh, speaking of alarms, me and Nick have to be real adults again, because we've been virtual for the longest time for our work, and now we're going back in person with actual peoples in our building, and we actually have to be to work at 6 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning ish, because we got to be there before traffic and all that craziness. So no more late nights. I actually have to put a post up here soon, being like, hey, I don't work past 11 now because I actually have to sleep now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to that acrylic thing I was doing. If I cut out, I tested this out. I cut out a piece of acrylic, and I actually etched the side that I painted. So I didn't cut through the entire thing. I etched the back side. So I had silver paint, and then after it was off the laser, I spray painted the etched portion. So you have clean black lines on a silver piece, if that makes any sense. So you spray paint the base silver, laser etch it, then cut it out. And then when you pull it off the laser, you spray paint it again with black, and the black comes through those lines that it etched.
Nice. Yeah, that definitely works. Yeah, it's an awesome medium to get into.
Josh, what's going on in your shop, man? I'm sorry, we've been yapping this whole time. And that's all the time we have for you. Thanks for...
Oh, you're fired. No, can never fire Nick or Nap. We like them too much. But not much, man. Really. So this week I've got a lot of orders and a lot of things that are going to be coming due here shortly. Family in town and some other things popped up. So it's just been a busy week thus far. Well, I got an order for a challenge coin display. It'd be a flag with a image of their squadron logo. And then I got 2 mallets coming down I'll be doing. The 2-foot ones. Still working on the 1-foot one design, so I could post that up on my Etsy here sometime soon. I have, 3 shadow boxes that I'll be doing, and they're all kind of December, January, and February, if I remember right. I got paid for 1 of them. The other 2 I'm waiting for payment. So we'll see how that goes. I'm doing the challenge coin display a little differently. It's going to be the American flag like I've done in the past with the logo kind of centered in it. And that kind of plays into a conversation Nap earlier we had is in the past, I usually would carve that logo on the CNC. I'm doing the logo on the laser instead, Glowforge actually, and that's already been done. So I just have to basically carve out the general shape, carve the flag, do the rails, and then get that together. So doing what I can basically from inside the house when I have time in the house. A lot of the stuff outside in the garage I haven't had time to do. I do have to go in there and do like a quick clean of everything so I can get it to 0 so I can mess it up again. But just a lot of orders coming in, a lot of designing and stuff like that, trying to get myself ready for that. After today, tomorrow, I'll be in the shop knocking stuff out as much as I can. As always, just a reminder, we'll probably be doing a safety week here soon, both on the podcast and the week itself. If you remember from last year, essentially what we did is post stories or post every day during that week of the tools or the safety equipment we use in the shop, or just even stories about close calls and how to prevent them. And we're thinking about doing that in November, I think 29th to the 4th of December. Still the time in the work, but bear with us, and we'll do the episode. I think it was the 30th. I checked the calendar quick here. It'd be the 30th of November will be when we actually do the safety week episode. Yeah, we'll be approaching some companies, seeing if they'll donate some stuff or maybe a giveaway then for some of the safety equipment that we use in our shop and love. What else? So as we all do, we always try to develop our business, our hobby into our more organized. So I've tried different things. I've tried Excel. I've tried different things, but I needed something that essentially I could pick up anytime in the shop and just look at and put down. And I took inspiration from Nick because when we first started talking, he had a paper and he used to jot down all this information. And I always thought, that was brilliant, but I wanted more of like a refined way of doing it. So therefore I tried Excel and stuff like that. All I did is went into Excel and I designed a job sheet essentially, with like date contacted, the job, the name, platform, if they paid, didn't pay, when's it due. And it just helped me keep track of all the stuff I have. Because before it was a lot of, just up here, my wife reminding me, text messages with the customers. And I've never really forgot an order. It's always just, I was always able to mentally, rack and stack those.
You forgot an order and at the last minute had to go scramble to put it together. Everybody has. Come on.
Well, I have, but I never forgot it to the point where they showed up at my house like, hey, and then I'm like, what are you doing here type thing. But yeah, I've scrambled for jobs. Everyone that has ever sold anything has. It just helps me keep a little bit more organized and get, things done in the shop. That's another thing I kind of wanted to hit on is, I have spent some time out of the shop more than the last couple of years, and it's burnout. It's a lot of burnout. Me realizing I'm not spending as much time with the family as I want to, stuff like that, and then other things, especially like getting back into the groove of things of like work, like Nap was saying, and stuff like that. You don't realize you're getting burnt out until you start making those small mistakes over and over, or like. I had a project recently where I was out there and I was cooking. Everything in my mind was rack and stacked. I knew exactly what I was doing. I was going, and I literally hit a point where I forgot where I was going. The momentum was lost, and I'm looking at this project and I'm like, I don't know what to do next. So I took a break and I came back and I started that again and it worked out just fine. But you just gotta be careful, because this kind of leads into that safety week thing. You might not even recognize when it happens. Sometimes you might, sometimes you don't. And it's okay to take that time away from the shop. Even if we all do it because we love it. I mean, no one's really forcing us in our shops. It's something that we chose. But it's important to realize that it's okay to take a step away from something you love because you're doing it too much and you just sleep or you need some time with your kids or wife. And it's just an important thing to keep in mind. Other than that, that's pretty much what I got going in the shop. Doing some 3D printing here and there. I did want to mention that PWN has some really awesome things on Thingiverse, and you should be following them on there because you can download stuff. I did. I went on there and I've actually downloaded fences for the X-Carve. And, I printed a whole bunch of them. And they're, plastic. So basically, if I run through them accidentally, they're low profile as is. So if I run through it, it's an issue. If I run through them, I can just print some more and it's not a big deal. Yeah, that's truly about it. There's not really that much going on than taking orders and everything else like that. Just little side notes in there. Nap, I am kind of disappointed, man. I thought I helped you with that whole bandsaw thing and I got no credit for it. I'm telling you. I thought I kind of pushed you in the right direction there.
You know what? Okay, folks. That's a foul on my part.
I was sitting there. I'm like, I forced him to get a tool because I'm excited because I'm not down there to lead you, but
Josh
it's all good.
Didn't force me to get a tool, but I did ask Josh a lot of questions, and he's like, "Nah, good for this and this, that, and the other." But I still went with the Jet just because.
Yeah, everything I suggested. Anyway, I kind of figured you're going to go with the Jet the way you were talking, but
the main reason I got the Jet is because it's got a big throat.
That's what.
But you'll never use it.
I like it too.
No, man, I'm honestly messing with you. I'm glad you got a bandsaw. I am a true believer. If you don't have a router or bandsaw in your shop, then you're missing out because honestly, I use those pretty much every single time in the shop.
Hey, so I got one more thing before we close it up. All right.
Well, we got a question too.
Oh, okay. Well, I got one more thing before we hit the questions.
What's up, man?
So I ordered yesterday. I don't know if you guys use Square before. But Square is a way you can manage invoices and have people pay you for things, right? I didn't have a physical way of taking payments from somebody. I'd had to invoice them via email or the app or whatever, and it would send them an email, and they would pay through the email with their credit card. So I figured with this craft show coming up, might as well drop the money, which was like $50. And get a Square card reader. So there it is right there. It's got the chip reader and it's also contactless. I don't know if you guys can see the little.
Was it NFC or whatever it is?
Yep. And so I bought that and I was like, man, I don't even have a swiper, which I should have a swiper as well. So you could swipe the mag strips on the cards. If that person doesn't have a card that with NFC capability or a chip. So I was like, man, I kind of missed out, but whatever. Worst case scenario, I'll just send them an email right there and they can pay me or they can Venmo or whatever. But when I bought this, it comes with one. I didn't realize it came with them. Holy smokes. I got a twofer. So if you use the Square app, which I highly recommend, it's very, very easy and quick to use it. Check it out. It's like 50 bones. I paid $10 extra for shipping, $60 to get the reader, and I just got to set it up now to connect it to my Square account, and we'll be good to go. Pretty simple. So, but we do have a question. I'm sorry I went on a tangent there about Square. We're not sponsored by Square, but if Square wants to sponsor us, you can hit me up at NPG Creations on.
How would they? I'm curious on how they would sponsor us on that one.
They give us money. No, I don't
No,
know.
take their what is it? The rates away from when we make transactions. That would be good.
I like it.
I'll tell you what though, it's so much. It's worth it nowadays when people don't carry cash with them, and pain in the rear if you invoice somebody over the phone and they have to get into their email and pay you right there. Might as well they always have their wallet with them. Always have that credit card. They can swipe it, stick it, or tap it, and it's easy.
Pop it.
So, do they even make cards anymore without the chip?
Yeah,
No.
USAA has cards with. Well, they don't have cards without a chip, but they have all the cards I have from USAA don't have an NFC reader.
But they have a chip.
But they have a chip. Yeah, it's a Frito-Lay chip, I believe. Anyway, go ahead.
Ready for the question? Ready to fire?
Questions.
Yeah, Nap, go for it. You got it?
Fires the questions, Captain. Yes, I got it. It's from Brush Fire. I can't read the whole name because it's
Brush
in
Fires
a
of
picture.
Freedom.
Brush Fires of Freedom. Thank you. So we hit him up last podcast.
1776.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So we hit him up last podcast with a question about getting a sales permit and when you would need one. And we talked about, when you become a business entity and whatnot. Well, his question for a follow-up now is, when is an appropriate time to create an actual business identity? What would y'all's suggestions be on setting that up and recommendations on how to do that? Robert Lee.
That's good, Robert Lee. That's a good question.
So, y'all want to take it or do you want to just go?
I'll take it. Josh, you want to go?
Sure. I'll go. So, these two have already jumped and made that thing for their shops. I have not. I'm actually going to be doing that in the beginning of the year. And I'll tell you exactly my reasons because, everyone has their own reasons why they want to go legitimate. Personally, I'm making not enough, but just enough to make myself feel a little uncomfortable. And I'm considering myself not necessarily a hobbyist, but more of a business because of the way I'm structuring how I do business. Between Etsy and the different jobs I'm doing, I want to be more legitimate so people can approach me from different avenues and even use different payment methods that are not available to me at the current time because I am not a licensed business LLC and so forth. I am missing out on some of these larger projects because of that. And I would definitely like to be able to take on those projects. And then on top of that, this is something I plan on doing for the rest of my life, as long as I can do it. And even when I retire from the military. So if I just do it, I learn as I go. I have two gentlemen here that know what they're doing and they can walk me through that. So I do have that luxury. Yeah, those are my reasons. I've been doing it long enough. And now, especially with like Venmo, Cash App and stuff like that, they're going to start reporting to the IRS a certain amount. If you make over a certain amount on those, it's getting to that point for me where I have to make the jump to feel comfortable. It just makes sense. I want to start off the new year as a business. So that's my reasonings. And I'm going to shoot it over to Nick. Go ahead.
So Josh's reasons are valid. Definitely. If you make the jump to an LLC, let me rephrase that. If you want to make the jump to an LLC, you have to make sure it's going to be worth it for you. If you don't do a lot of business and you do cash only, and I'm not trying to say evade taxes or whatever, because you can claim that as income, but as your personal income. If you don't do a lot of business with people in other states, or if you're just in the local area and you do a craft show once every 3 months, I don't really think you need to do an LLC. But if you're somebody who is actively taking orders and always open to take orders every day, and you're jobbing and you're making a lot of money, and when I say a lot of money, I would say it'd be hard to justify not having a business license if you make more than 10 grand a year. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you make more than 10 G's a year doing what you're doing, that's a substantial amount of money. And that's going to have people if they find out, like especially in whatever state you're in, they might start looking at you sideways, and then you might be able to be getting the comptroller in that state in your chili. So keep it legit if you can, or if you should keep it legit as best as possible, and not try to cheat the system. That's where you get in trouble if you try to cheat the system.
Mm-hmm.
You can you don't have to get an LLC either. You could get a sole proprietorship and do it that way. One just protects you from being sued from your, like Knapp said last time, the LLC protects your assets, like your personal assets, like your car, your house, your wife, your dog, all that stuff from being, essentially
impacted.
I don't want to say impacted, but claimed as collateral in a lawsuit. Because if you have the LLC, all you have is your equipment that you use as your collateral, and they can't attack your house. They can't sue you for for your dog. So just think about it that way. Anyway, I'm gonna pass it to Knapp now. I have to go put a fire out. I believe my young child is beating up my older child, so I'll be right back.
Yes. So as far as the other part of your question, because these gentlemen hammered home when you should start it. Honestly, yes, if it's worth your while, if you are making a large sum of money and you aren't, you should claim all income, especially if it's a substantial amount. But definitely establish if you are making a substantial amount. But third, also make sure it is worth your. I think it's worth your while. But you, sir, looking at your Instagram, you are in Waller, Texas. Well, lucky for you, I established through the state of Texas because, hey, guess what? That's where I'm at. So all you need to do to establish, it's quite simple. Actually, in this state, I was actually pleasantly surprised. If you just go to comptroller.texas.gov, you can get the process started. I'm just telling you right now, make sure you got $500 ready to rock and roll, because it's going to cost you about that to start. You always have a startup fee of some sort when starting a business. That's your very first one. And I'll tell you what, those folks over there, when you give them a call, their customer service, they are very helpful. They have a lot of grace, especially when you pay, like, let's say your taxes for the first time, which I had no idea what I was doing, paying quarterly taxes. But those folks over there are really good. They will make sure you're taken care of. They won't steer you down the wrong path. But yeah, so if you're looking to do that, just go to that site, check it out. Our taxes here in Texas are 8.25%, at least here in San Antonio. It could be a little less, could be a little more where you're at. Not 100% sure, but that's what you got to figure out. Establishing is the key thing, as the reason why I did it is to protect me. And because, well, I started making some money doing this. And I hate to tell this, but I'd rather not have the IRS, even though I'm small potatoes compared to most companies. I'd rather have them not come after me because I have a spike in my income. And they go, oh, what's this?
So now let's not get it twisted, though. The IRS and the state are different entities.
Yes.
So when you pay, people are going to pay state sales tax. You have to pay that to the state.
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, your total income that you get, you're going to have to pay taxes on with the federal government.
Yep.
So that's. But now there are things you can do to help mitigate some of that stuff. Like if you acquire new equipment that's expensive, if you have write-offs such as gas, or you have a vehicle you use for that, your internet service. Shoot, I know even some people, you can claim, if you rent, you can claim a portion of the rent for, like if you use your garage, they'll take a percentage of your house and use that, like prorate that towards as a write-off. So, don't fret. That's not like they're just going to hammer you for all that income. There are ways to help mitigate some of that and get tax credits.
Absolutely. I just want to throw that out there and make sure that you guys all realize we are not professionals, and we are learning as we go. So go get a financial advisor, go find someone that has a degree and is certified to answer most of those questions. What we could do is only hit on the things that we've experienced and the things that we kind of know a little bit about. But if you're looking at that, it might be your best bet to go maybe look at an accountant or someone that can help you down that road. Knapp provided an excellent source for you to contact and ask those questions as well to get you started. And with that, I think we're running out of time. Do you guys got anything else you want to add before we hit into sponsors?
No.
No, but I do have one thing, and that is PWN CNC. Check them out. They got the goods. The spindle mounts, or excuse me, the spindles that they've got coming out. You need to go check them out right now. Double click on the buy button. Pre-order yours today. They're about to come in. All right. Daniel said they're on. I think he got his first shipment in already. He's got another one coming in. They're going to start shipping in late November. So, yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a whole, like, he's blowing the thing wide open, right? Changing the game from a router to a spindle, and for the everyday guy, Joe Schmo like you and me. So with that being said, take a gander at www.pwncnc.com or at pwncnc on Instagram, and use promo code Sawdust Nation for 10% off your orders, to include the spindles. So that counts if you want to use that towards that spindle. And then next up, Totalboat, we love you guys. That epoxy is amazing. So check them out, totalboat.com or at Totalboat on Instagram. And there you go, Nap. He's hugging his jug of Totalboat. But if you want a promo code for the TB, you need to get into Sawdust Nation Podcast DMs and shoot us a message. Let us know. We'll get you that promo code.
And let y'all know that is a one-time code. It's not a repeat offender.
That is a one-time code. That's right.
It's so good you can only use it once.
And we want to also thank Jtechphotonics for their support. Check them out, jtechphotonics.com or at Jtechphotonics on the Instagram. And they have the goods when it comes to the diode lasers. So give them a shout. But this is my last plug now. Thanks to our patrons. You guys are the real champions here. Hooking it up. We love what you guys do for us so much that we love creating content for you and sending you some swag in our giveaways. And I don't know how many people got coasters this year or tumblers, or I don't know.
There's a lot out there.
There's a lot. There's a lot of Sawdust Nation stuff floating around. Beer mugs. So we don't. Oh, okay, beverage mugs. All right, you could put your milk or water or whatever in there. Fantastic. Thank you to the patrons. I'm gonna toss it over to Nap now, and he's gonna let you know how you can.
Yeah, do the podcast thing on Apple Podcasts. Before I do that, real quick shout out to the Maker Community Project and their awesome 5% promo code, SDN5, to get that 5% off of your order from the Makers Community Project. You're supporting a great cause if you order for them, but also you're automatically entered into whatever sweepstakes is going on. And if you don't remember for the previous few episodes, the Stepcraft CNC is on the table for this sweepstakes. So it's as simple as spending a couple dollars, getting a hat, getting a sticker, getting an awesome flag that Nick is showing in his background over there. I'll tell you, the flag is actually really nice. I got one too. It's in my shop. But it's as simple as doing that. And even if it is something small, just remember
get a
this.
polo, dude.
Oh, and the polo. And don't forget the
business casual in the shop.
Polos are nice. So. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're supporting a good cause, even if it's just a sticker. All right? So head on over to at the Maker Community Project. Or if you are more familiar with Mike from Better Woodco or Matt Voltner from Voltner Woodworking, us at Sawdust Nation Podcast, you go to our link tree. We have at the very top link. There's multiple ways to get there. It's if you're having trouble,
it's on Josh's link tree, and it's on my link tree as well. I don't know if Nat, did you put it on your link tree?
I don't even have a link tree. I'm still working on that. I'm behind. But anyways, thank you. But honestly, that's I can't preach enough about that. The Makers Community Project has been awesome so far, supporting them. But to listen to this podcast on the Apple Podcast, you go to the Apple Podcast and you listen to it. And if you listen to it and you like it, give us 5 stars. If you don't give us 5 stars, let us know why. Because if you don't know why, we can't fix it. We got to make sure we're giving you the content that you deserve. And if you don't tell us what we're doing wrong, well, then we can't do that. So that is the Apple Podcast. That's it. And kick it on over to Josh.
And if you want to reach us and talk to us about Community Over Competition, the Maker Community Project, anything we talked about this episode, or topics or questions, or anything you have, you can always contact us on our 4 Instagram accounts. And that is the Sawdust Nation podcast, and that's all three of us. So anytime you read into there, one of us or all three of us will chime in. And then you have Nick from MPG Creations. You have Nap from Nap's Naughty Works LLC. Myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. If you like to email us and you're more comfortable with that, you can always send us a voicemail or you can send us pictures of your latest project. Feel free to write questions or topics in there as well. And that is sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com.
I'll tell you what, guys. One more thing. We did this last year. I'm going to throw this out there. Email us the pictures of your latest project. We're going to do a contest now. All right. Latest project. We're going to choose 2 winners. All right. And I'm going to personally make some Sawdust Nation coasters and send them your way because I'm on a run. I'm making coasters like crazy.
And we'll air the winners on the 75th episode. So you have until November 30th to get that complete. Make sure that the pictures you send are of the project, the process, or the finished project. Definitely. Yeah, we'd love to see what you have. With that, Nap, you got any final words?
Honestly, the simple words are keep helping each other out. Keep making it community over competition. Go make some sawdust, people. Nick, what you got?
Yeah, take care of yourselves and each other. And until next time, you can pick your friends. You can pick your nose. But you can't pick your friend's nose. Josh?
Thank you for listening in to this week's podcast. Like every week, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. You can always turn us on when you're in the shop, in the bedroom, in the kitchen, outside, at work, wherever you have time. We highly appreciate you and everything that our listeners do, sharing our content and telling others. As long as you're making sawdust, you're a maker. That's all we care about. So go make some sawdust, and Sawdust Nation out.
Nick, you always do this.
And
Maybe next
Sawdust
time.
Nation
Ow.
Ow. Ow. Jesus.
Oh,
Will you stop holding your when we're recording? I just can't do it.
Nap, that thing's got a lot of hair on it, bro.
Yeah, you might want to, shave a little, trim.
Oh, my God.